What's up, y'all, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I've got a late night upload for y'all. I know, who am I? I never do this, but my Haunted Europe palette came in the mail today and I couldn't contain myself. I just had to sit down and play with it. So we're going to create a look with not only the Haunted Europe palette, but Ghost Town USA as well, in honor of their return for spooky season. Now, the brand did say that these are available for a limited time. I do not know how long that time is, but I am assuming, don't quote me on this because I have no insider information, that if the demand calls for it, they will do at least one restock with each of these palettes. But again, I have no idea. So if you have your heart set on either one of these, I suggest picking them up while they are still available. All right, before we jump into the looks with these palettes, I do want to show you close-ups, swatches, give you all the details. I know these are not brand new launches, but I'm going to treat them as such in case you are on the fence about them, or maybe you're debating whether or not you want to pick them up. I want to make sure that you have all the details. So this is the Haunted Europe palette. It has that lenticular motion on the front. Both of them do, actually. This one came out, I believe, 2 spooky seasons ago, and this is the one that got away from me. I wanted it so bad and I never snagged it. The color story in here is absolutely beautiful. I have not played with this one. I have not swatched it, nothing like that, but this is an 18 pan palette. It does have 9 mattes and 9 shimmers. Keep in mind, this is the original formula the palette came out in. They did not update it. They did not revamp it, anything like that. So I don't know performance wise what this is going to do. We are going to find out together, and after I create my look with this, I will give you my first initial impression thoughts on this one. But we also have the Ghost Town USA palette. Now this one I am very familiar with. This one came out last spooky season. I picked it up on launch and I absolutely love this one. It is also an 18 pan palette with 9 mattes and 9 shimmers. This color story is absolutely stunning. It is cool tones. I love the variety in here. The shimmers in here are absolutely stunning. They look beautiful on the lid. Everything wears really nicely in here. I don't have any quality issues, any formula issues, nothing like that. And I absolutely love this palette. It is one of my all-time favorites from the brand. Now, both of these do retail for $49 a piece, but the brand does have a bundle over on their website. So if you don't have either one of them, you can pick them up in the bundle and you get 20% off. And I believe that comes out to roughly $78 and change, something like that. My math may be a little bit off, but you can do the math. $98, 20% off of that, that's what it's gonna be. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I have already created my look with my Ghost Town USA palette, so I'm gonna show you that one first, and then we're gonna create our look with the Haunted Europe palette. All right, let's go ahead and start out with the Ghost Town USA palette. Just because I have already played with this one before, I am familiar with it. This is nothing new to me. This is really just creating a look and showcasing it. I did get this one on launch last year, and I love this palette. The quality in here is absolutely beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. This is one of my absolute favorites in my collection. Maybe I should do a Nomad ranking. Let me know down below if you want to see that. But I think for this look, I want to play with these greens over here, maybe incorporate a couple of browns as well, just because I think that's going to go with the top that I'm wearing really, really well. And I think with the Haunted Europe palette, I want to do something a little bit more colorful, just because that one has more color in it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade up here. This one is called Ghost Town. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my BK Beauty 201 brush, and I am going to fluff this in to the crease of my eye. I have already gone ahead and primed my eye with my Sigma eyeshadow base in the shade Ignite. So let's go ahead and do this. This palette, I remember whenever it was launched last year. I remember the little game over on Instagram and everything, and they were giving out all of these towns in the United States that had like haunted and spooky past to them stories, things like that, and I just thought it was so fun. They released this color story and I about fell out because it is cool toned. It is a little bit on the neutral side, but they're the cool tones that I really enjoy. If this had purples in it, well, more than just the one shimmer, this would be probably my absolute favorite palette from the brand. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the quality in here. This is the good Nomad quality that I know and love. The shimmers in this palette, y'all, you're not ready for the shimmers in this palette. If you haven't seen them, if you haven't played with this, these are good. These are absolutely beautiful. Okay, first shade is down. Let's go in with this green right below it. I'm just gonna go in a gradient for this row for the lid, and then I'll probably do something a little bit more neutral on the lower lash line. So we're gonna go in with this shade right here. This one is called Stagecoach Mary. How fun is that? So spooky. I love it. I'm going to pick that up with a Game Beauty EO2 brush, and I'm going to put this in my outer corner, build up my depth, my definition, the shape that I want. I am patting it, and then I go back and blend. So if you're new here, I always like to pack on my color. That way I can get maximum pigmentation, I get less fallout, and I don't have to worry about making a mess and having the color get away from me. And then once I have everything where I want it, I will usually either flip my brush or go back in with the first shade and just kind of blur those edges, blend everything together, and make sure that we have a nice, seamless, cohesive look. So I'm gonna go back with that first brush, no extra product, but I am gonna go right along the edge and just blend everything together. Effortless, love it. Next, we're gonna go in with the shade down here called Arrested Decay. It's this really pretty, like deep, cool toned, murky brown. It almost has a little bit of a green undertone to it, but I'm gonna pop this in my outer corner and add just a little bit of depth and definition to this. So I'm gonna go in with my Morphe M506 brush, and I am very lightly gonna go out here in the outer corner. I don't want this to take over. I just like to have that depth right there in the outer corner. I feel like it just adds a little bit extra to this look. It kind of opens up my eyes a little bit, gives them the illusion that they come up at the end instead of going down. And I do this with probably 95% of my looks. Very few of them do I not deepen up the outer corner. Okay, for the lower lash line, I'm going to go in with a combination of these two shades right here. So I'm going to start with this mid-tone brown in the middle. This one is called Bandit Queen, and I am going to pick that up with, hold on, let me find my brush. All right, I found the brush I wanted. This is the Game Beauty E10 brush. It's like an angled liner brush. So I'm gonna pick up that shade Bandit Queen, and I am basically going to tight line down here and just take it all the way across. And then I'll go back in with that other shade and kind of fluff this out and disperse it and soften it. Okay, so next I'm going to pick up that lightest brown called Undead Sheriff. I'm picking it up with a Sigma E24 brush, and I am going to just zhuzh this right along that lower lash line, kind of blending out that shade that I put down very lightly, not a whole lot of product. I just want to add that little bit to the lower lash line, but I don't want to have that harshness that I got with lining my lower lash line. I don't know if any of that made sense. It didn't quite make sense whenever I was saying it, but it made sense in my head. All right, my lid is primed with my NYX Glitter Primer. Let's put some shimmer on the lid and the inner corner. So we're gonna play with these two shades right here on the lid. And then for the inner corner, I think we're gonna go in with this one over here. So I'm gonna start with the deeper of the two. This one is called Calico CA, or Calico California, however you want to pronounce it. This is what the shade looks like. Like, how gorgeous and reflective is that? These are so smooth, so easy to pick up. I haven't gotten any hard pan with these. They don't emphasize texture. I don't get creasing. They last all day on my lid, and look at how beautiful that is. I love it. All right, so next I'm gonna pick up the shade Gold Rush up here, and I'm gonna put this on the inner portion of my lid, the part that I didn't put that other shade. So this one has a little bit more gold to it, but it still has that green undertone, and it complements this one absolutely beautifully. So I'm just gonna pop that right here. I'm not gonna bring it over to the inner corner because, like I said, we're gonna go in with that shade Tombstone and put that in there. All right, for the inner corner, I'm going to pick up this really pretty gold shade up here. This one is called Tombstone. I'm picking it up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. I'm gonna spray it with my MAC Fix Plus per usual, and I'm going to pop this into the inner corner and then finish up this look. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look, and I love the way this turned out. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy that they brought this palette back because, like I said, it is one of my favorites. But let me go ahead and show you what I used to finish up this look so we can pop over to the Haunted Europe palette because I am super excited about that one. All right, in my lower lash line, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Cinnamon. My little smudger came off, so it looks even smaller now, but I love that liner so much. And then I went ahead and lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner in the shade Black and topped it off with my new Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize mascara. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and dive into the Haunted Europe palette. I am so excited for this one. I love the color story in this palette. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's unique. I love the tones in here, and I've got so many ideas in my head of what looks I want to do, but I think for my first look, I want to stick to over here. I am dying to play with these purples in this palette. Are we surprised? Of course we aren't. I know there's lots of color over here, and I will definitely do more looks with this palette in shorts, things like that, especially going into October. So if you picked it up or you have it and you're looking for more inspiration, it will be coming. But like I said, we're gonna play with this over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start out with this cool tone brown shade up here. This one is called Ghost River. So I am going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 212 brush, and I am going to, per usual, fluff this into my crease, build up my depth, my definition, a little bit of that shape, just lay down a nice transition for everything else to lay on top of. All right, so that went down really nicely. I didn't have any issues with grabbing, patching, skipping, fallout, anything like that. There's a very beautiful cool tone brown, and I love it. But let's go ahead and move on. So next I'm gonna go into this shade down here. This one is called Count Dracula. It's a little bit of a deeper cool tone brown, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with my BK 206 brush. I am just packing on that shade Count Dracula into my outer corner. I'm building up the shape that I want, a little bit of depth, little bit of definition, and once I have everything where I want it, I'll go back with the other side of my brush and just kind of fluff along the edges, make sure that everything is nice and blended, cohesive. We don't have any harsh lines. All right, for the lower lash line, I want to go into this really pretty like clay red shade down here. This one is called, I believe, Spando Citadel. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly, but I am going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 203 brush. And like I said, I'm going to put this on my lower lash line. So I am just going to fluff it along down here. I'm going to bring it all the way over to the inner corner, but not in the inner corner, and just make sure that it wraps around to that outer corner and everything blends together. All right, so my lids are primed. Let's go ahead and put these shimmers on this lid. So I want to do this one all over my lid. This one is called Bloody Mary. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up with my finger. Oh, this feels nice and soft. This feels very silky. It is nice and shiny, metallic-y. It looks like it has a really good reflection to it. I am going to pop this all over my lid. I'm going to bring it over to my inner corner. I'm going to bump it right up to that matte shade out here, and then we'll go in with a couple of other shades as well. But that looks really nice on the lid. It's not nearly as reflective as what they have now, but it isn't dull. It isn't hard to pick up. It doesn't seem to be like hard pressed or anything like that. It does feel very creamy, very smooth to the touch, and it's going on really nicely, and it doesn't seem to be accentuating texture. All right, so next I'm gonna go in with this purple shimmer shade right here. This one is called Krampus, and I am going to pop this one onto like the outer corner where that matte and that shimmer meet. This one did feel a little bit more textured when I picked it up, a little bit more on the dry side, but not like hard pressed or hard to pick up, anything like that. It just didn't feel as creamy as Bloody Mary, but it does seem to be going on really nicely. So I am just going to blend that right between that matte and that shimmer, kind of overlapping both and giving us a nice blend on the lid. Okay, so for the inner corner, I want to go in with this gold shade right here. Now, I do want to point out one thing that I noticed whenever I was starting to like think of the look that I wanted to create with this. These two shades right here are very, very similar. Like, so similar, I don't think we needed both of them in the palette. I'm going to swatch them out really quick so we can get a good look at them. But this is what those two shimmers look like on my finger. So this one right here, which is my top finger, is definitely like just a touch deeper than the other one, but not enough. It just has slightly warmer of an undertone to it, and this one has just a slight bit more yellow to it. Again, I don't think we needed both, but it is what it is. Like I said, we're gonna go in with this shade right here, which is called Huska Castle or Hauska Castle. I'm not sure how you say that, but I'm going to go in with that one on my inner corner. So I'm going to pick it up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. I am going to spray this with my MAC Fix Plus, and we're going to pop this in my inner corner. I just thought that the gold would be a really pretty touch in here. I almost went in with like that cool tone pewter shade, but something at the last minute said go in with the gold, and yeah, I absolutely love that. Purple and gold are gorgeous together. Alright y'all, so this is the completed look with the Haunted Europe palette, and I really like the way that this turned out. It is dark, it is grungy, it is definitely giving spooky vibes, and I love that pop of gold on the inner corner. But let me show you what I used to finish up this look so we can zoom out, chat a little bit, and close out this video. In my lower waterline, I went in with my ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in the shade Toucan Do It just to tie in that gold and kind of give me one nice cohesive look. I skipped out on the liquid liner and went in with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize Mascara. Alright, starting with the Ghost Town USA palette, I already know that I love this palette. I have played with it many times at this point. I am very familiar with it. I love the lenticular motion on the packaging, and the color story in here is beautiful. This is cool tones. I love the array of mattes in here. I love the setup of this palette. I don't have any issues as far as the formula and the mattes goes. They go on nicely. They don't patch, skip. I don't get fallout. I don't get creasing. They blend out beautifully. They don't mud up. They go together really nicely. As far as the shimmers in here go, those are absolutely beautiful. These are nice and smooth. They're nice and metallic. They have a good reflection to them. They don't crease. They don't emphasize texture. These are beautiful. They're not going to be multi-chromes and duochromes or anything like that, but they still look absolutely gorgeous on the lid. I love this palette. The quality in here is fantastic, and if you've been eyeing it and you haven't picked it up and you're curious as to whether or not you like it, I don't think you would be disappointed at all. The Haunted Europe palette. Now this is going to be my first initial impression thoughts. I will give you my final thoughts in a future palette ranking video once I have gotten to play with every single shade in here, created multiple different looks, and everything that I like to do before I give you my final thoughts. But first impression, I love the packaging. It has that lenticular motion. Once again, the color story in here is absolutely beautiful. I love the array of mattes in here. We do have a little bit of color overlap. I definitely think that there could have been a little bit more variation between these two shades. We didn't necessarily need both of these, but at the same time, this is an older palette, so the brand has definitely improved since then. As far as the formula goes in here, this is not a bad formula. It's not nearly as good as the one in the Ghost Town USA palette, but I do have other brands from the palette that are newer that I don't think the formula is as good as this is. The mattes in here performed really nice. I only used 3 mattes from this palette so far, but I didn't have any issues with patching, skipping, grabbing. I did have to build up a little bit, but I didn't get any fallout. They didn't mud out or anything like that. And the shimmers in here I thought were really nice. They're not as smooth and they're not as reflective as the ones in the Ghost Town USA palette, but they're not hard pressed, they're not hard to pick up, they're not super dull on the lid either. Once again, I do have other shimmers in my collection from the brand that I do experience that with, and 2 palettes in particular off the top of my head are the Amor y Muerte palette, I believe is what it's called, Love and Death, the Valentine's Day one from last year, and the Oakcha Safari palette. Those two, the shimmers are not that great. They are very hard pressed. The shimmers in here are better than that. So first impression, I like this. Again, it's not the best formula from the brand, but I'm not disappointed with it. I'm not unhappy with it. I don't regret my purchase, and I'm definitely going to be showing it some love. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed this little impromptu late night upload. I had so much fun playing with these. I'm so excited that palette was finally here and I have both of them in my collection, but I want to hear from y'all. Did you pick up either one of these? Did you already have them in your collection? Are you planning on picking them up? Which palette was your favorite? Which look was your favorite? All the things. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.